Greetings, Reunite attendees and my fellow Alumni Centennial Trust team. My name is Nathan Hagan, and I am the proud graduate of Eugene Bible College, class of 1997. Sounds like a long time ago. Currently, I serve churches in the southeast region of Open Bible, and I'm honored to share a little with you about the story of Master's Commission, one of the branches of ministry training that came from our movement. Now, Master's Commission originated years ago from a church called Phoenix First Assembly, at that time pastored by Tommy Barnett. When I graduated from Eugene Bible College in 1997, I was asked by the pastor of First Church of the Open Bible in Spokane, Washington, Monty Leelisher, to come up and to work with them in the church to start a Master's Commission of their own, which would have been the first like program in all of Open Bible. Now, I have to be honest with you, I had no idea what I was doing. I was fresh out of Bible college. In fact, I didn't even know what Master's Commission was. I remember Dr. Paul Leavenworth, who worked at Eugene Bible College at that time, sharing with me what it was and why it could be instrumental for our denomination. I learned that it was a one-year discipleship ministry training program where students out of high school could come and give 1 year of their life to the Lord to develop their calling, to develop their Bible worldview, all the different skills that they needed to pursue God's purpose for their life. They weren't allowed to date, they weren't allowed to work. Their focus for that 1 year was the Great Commission, to be discipled and to go out and to make disciples wherever they go. So that sounded like a pretty cool opportunity to me. So I jumped in with both feet, knowing that I was going to have to trust the Lord entirely to start something new that I really didn't even know what it was about. When I arrived in Spokane, our goal was to start the program in a year. And after 6 months of trying to figure this out, I had exactly 0 students interested. So I was not off to a great start. Thankfully, Pastor Monty and the church board and the church staff was gracious and helpful. But I began to realize this is not going to happen by my own ability, which was very low at the time. And it wasn't going to happen by the resources of this great church. The Lord alone was going to be the one to give birth to this new wineskin, if you will. So I remember one night, 6 months into this journey, realizing I had a half a year to find students who were willing to take a chance on this brand new program. And I just had a moment where I broke before the Lord, and I knew I needed to meet with him. I knew I needed to hear his voice and what was going on. So I went to the sanctuary of the church at that time, 8303 North Division. I lived in a single wide mobile home on the property, so I could go to the church anytime I wanted. I just put worship music on and just began to cry out to the Lord. God, I felt you call me here. But I'm not seeing any activity, and we're 6 months in, and we got to see this program up and going in less than 6 months, or where am I going to go? So if you're in this, you need to breathe life into it. And so I just took that night and I just began to pray. And between you and me, I felt like the Lord said, I want you to run around this sanctuary for the number of students that you want to see come. So instantly I thought, well, Jesus started with 12, so I'm going to run around with 12. That should be my bar. And Lord, it'd be a miracle if you brought 12 students to our program this first year. So I did. I was worshiping, praying, and I just ran around the sanctuary 12 times by faith, hoping that God would provide. And I'll never forget that night. I just felt the peace of God's presence and recognized that this was all in his hands. So 6 months went by, and over the course of those 6 months, slowly but surely, we started to see young people begin to apply and be a part of this new thing called Master's Commission that nobody in Open Bible had heard of. And would you believe we had 12 students for that first year? And from that first year, the 10 years that I oversaw that program, we continued to grow each year. We took students on missions trips to all over. We did a big outreach in Salt Lake City during the Salt Lake Olympics. We were there for a week. We went to New York City after 9/11 and ministered and served in our open Bible churches there. We took people to New Orleans, Jamaica, all across the country. And somehow over those years, God did a great thing through it and into the lives of the students. In fact, we were able to get into public schools and do assemblies in different public schools in Washington, California, Iowa, Arizona. And let me just tell you, public schools don't let Christian groups in to do assemblies. Somehow the Lord made a way for those things. I could go on and on about the impact that we've made through outreach and evangelism. But one of the things I was most grateful to the Lord, we saw several students who came up through our program and felt led to start Master's Commission programs in their home church. So Jonathan Lombard, who originally was from the Phoenix, Arizona area, went back and worked with his dad in Des Moines, Iowa to start a Master's Commission there. Another young man by the name of Bo Koppelman, who grew up in Michigan, came to do our program, and after being with us a few years, went back and partnered with his pastor, Tom Rupley, to start a Master's Commission in Michigan. And over the course of those years, collectively, we saw some amazing things that the Lord did. The thing that I'm most proud of is just seeing where the young men and women who came and gave a year of their life to this program called Master's Commission, who were discipled and sent out around the world, many of them pastoring today. Some of them were sent to the mission field. Some of them were sent to the business mission field or the secular mission field contexts here in the U.S. A lot of them are serving as pastors, staff pastors in different churches across the world. A few stories that I could share with you that are just evidences of God's providence and leading. We had one young man who grew up in a church in Casper, Wyoming, came to our program, met a young lady from Lodi, California, and after their discipleship in the program for a few years, they got married, and they currently serve as worship pastors in the church that she grew up in Lodi, California. We have stories of other young leaders who came to the program and are now pastoring the churches that they grew up in. Dayton, Ohio being an example, Des Moines, Iowa, and then of course in Spokane, the church that started it all within Open Bible. We had a young man from Sandpoint, Idaho was with us for several years, and now he pastors that same church in Spokane, Washington that was pastored by Monty Leelisher. So just a few stories of some of the exciting things that God did through that one branch of ministry training among the massive tree of ministry training programs that we've seen over these 100 years. So we have reason to celebrate and reason to rejoice in all the good things that God has done, and we're just getting started. I know that we're going to continue to see great new wineskins and new fruit from the good things that the Lord continues to do in the years ahead. Thank you for giving me the chance to share.